What's good, everyone? This is Jin. Now that we're in the tail end of the 350 million download celebration this year, I wanted to spend some time a little bit forward thinking on banners that are coming out later on and going into year end and close to pretty much, the 7th year Dokkan anniversary on JP. Believe it or not, we're only like 4 months away from that happening. So it's just, a lot of stuff is coming up, and of course, year end, we do see a lot more activity in terms of banners and availability of new units or what have you. So let's just go ahead and run through kind of last year's schedule and see what kind of overall, repetition in terms of potential, schedules and what have you. So right now, this is currently where we are in terms of equivalent of where we land on the 350 million download celebration. So obviously we had the two part 1 LR banners, and then moving on, this is pretty much what the legendary campaign or legendary banner that's out right now is equivalent of, which is Kid Gohan and Krillin as well as the Goku / Vegeta exchange units. So this is pretty much up until part 2 or part 2 of last year. This is where the equivalent of where we are. So I know part 3 news should be coming out, like physical LR Bardock I've heard is getting an easy A, which is great if that happens, but part 3 is probably just going to be an easy A and a couple of new things here and there. It shouldn't be anything major in terms of a new banner or whatnot. So with that being said, post the worldwide celebration, we've got stuff like a Dokkan Fest in the month of October. End date is October 22nd, so obviously probably had this around for at least, I don't know, banners are usually available for 2 weeks, right? I think it's kind of the schedule they fall under. But we had the physical transforming Angel Golden Frieza that came out during this time, shortly after the worldwide celebration last year. And then these are all not really relevant units. I mean, Easy A obviously was announced at the time for Kid Buu and what have you, but we did have a legendary banner at the end of October, which was for LR Turles. So I would imagine we would have some sort of new LR, along with the Dokkan Fest during the month of October. Pretty much standard schedule for that. And then, going into the next Dokkan Fest, we had in the month of November the intelligence type Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. A couple of the units returned, similar to kind of the Dokkan Fest here. It was actually a decent banner in the grand scheme of things for this one. For those that were chasing dupes of some of the other featured units, but same case could be said for this. But the complication, I think, with the month of November and having a Dokkan Fest, if you scroll up a little bit, you do also have the Dragon Ball Heroes banner that only is available once a year come out during the month as well. Now this one I think had an end time in November 29th, whereas this one's the 12th 7th. I think for this particular one, you basically get you would get a ticket to enter a drawing. Obviously this is only for JP residents, but this is probably the normal schedule, which it lasts until December 7th. So of course, the nice thing about this one, and I have to admit, I have mixed feelings about this banner every year, but the good thing about it is the SSR that you pretty much will pick up will be only from the Dragon Ball Heroes collab banner units, right? So you won't get anything else outside of that. So in terms of value for your buck, in terms of making sure you're able to optimize who you pick up, I mean, it's better in that regard. I guess my only issue with this banner every year is, at the time, it's substantially hyped up and people get excited about it. But once that banner is no longer available, I mean, it's just people tend to just forget they existed, right? A lot of these units from the Dragon Ball Heroes collab banner, I rarely run, but maybe a couple of them on a normal basis. Outside of that, it's more or less just, I really think it's more for collection purposes. Now, there are good units over the course of the years that have come about this, but I think they're far less important than, the Dokkan Fest category units and stuff like that. But it is important because for once a year, it's only available. So a lot of people, of course, want to take that opportunity to make sure they summon. But again, keep in mind, we do have the Dragon Ball Heroes banner, collab banner, along with, your typical Dokkan Fest. So it's going to make your planning a little bit difficult in that regard, I guess. And then, you go into December and we have even more activity. Like this one, either like, I guess at the very beginning of December is probably when it came out, considering it's an end date of December 16th. But, we had the transforming Bojack unit come out at that time as well. And then shortly after that, I mean, we have like, outside of the EZA and stuff like that, we have a double race banner, which is the, I forgot what it's called in the English version. We'll just call it the double rates banner. But, it's nice because you do get the Elder Kai equivalent for every multi, but, SSR rates go up by 2. Obviously, the increases, increased likelihood of pulling an LR is obviously very appealing as well. But again, it's a lot of stones to use, especially considering, you already had a banner in the month of December, came out of, the Dragon Ball Heroes collab banner end of November, and then you've got this as well as another Dokkan Fest. This is pretty much like the year end. I think prior to this year, it was the what was it, like the Super Saiyan 2 transforming Goku, and then like the transforming Tech Majin Vegeta, I think is the equivalent of what it came out during that time, if I'm not mistaken. But we had Paikuhan and Janemba last year. Of course, this is kind of a good one because the anniversary LRs do show up again, so it helps in terms of like making sure you're able to pick up copies if you're lacking. But again, it costs stones, and considering it's a 2-banner celebration, obviously it's gonna increase your requirements to consume stones. And then on top of that, we have the New Year's step-up banner. I think it's pretty much safe to say at this point this is a regular occurrence every year during New Year's, where at least for last year, you could do up to 3 cycles. Now keep in mind, it's 200 stones per 1 cycle, so if you do the maximum of 3 full rotations, that's the equivalent of 600 stones too. So you can kind of imagine the amount of stones that it's going to require if you want to go through all these guys. And maybe you just want to run through 1 cycle, maybe 2, but I don't think there's necessarily a need to go through a full 3 cycles. And I can't remember if because they don't give you this for free at all. I think they just make it available, and if you want to summon, you can summon. But that's pretty much the gap, I guess, before the anniversary starts. Because if you scroll a little bit up, that's when you start seeing the the guaranteed LR multi, as well as the Dokkan Fest for the anniversary banners themselves. So again, it might not seem like it, but there is a lot of activity coming up going toward year end, leading into the anniversary, at least for the JP side. So there's certainly a good amount of planning that's required if you are a free-to-play type player, and even if you're not, and you're somewhat spending money on it. I mean, unless you're an absolute whale where finances don't necessarily impact you, you do kind of have to think in mind in terms of like, what to plan out for, because some of these banners are good, and of course I'm sure a lot of people, contrary to where I stand, probably don't want to miss out on this. So considering Nolar is going to be welling out, he's probably going to want to do some collab summons for this one. So I'll most likely summon some, but for me personally, I'm okay with skipping it if I had to. I mean, I just, over the years, I've come to the conclusion that it's not necessarily that beneficial. It's more or less a collector's item type banner, so to speak. But either way, there are a lot of banners coming up post 350 million download celebration, and we'll see what kind of units come out in accordance to it, toward year end. But I don't know, I guess the last thing to mention is like, I know, like, from what I've heard, there's like a new Dragon Ball Super movie coming out next year or something like that. So I don't know if the anniversary is going to be in line with that. If it is, that'd be kind of crazy, but we'll have to see. Maybe it'll be similar to the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie that came out several years ago, where they actually had a celebration tied to them as part of like the year-end Dokkan Fest, which is pretty much this right here. So a lot of speculative stuff right here. I'm not Nostradamus. I don't know the future. I can only tell you what the pattern's been somewhat, at least from last year and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the extent of what I wanted to talk about here. But hopefully this video was, informative to some degree, and you found it helpful in terms of planning out the next several months. But again, thanks for watching as always. I do appreciate you guys checking out each and every one of the videos, so I do appreciate that. And yeah, we'll see what happens, but let me know what your thoughts are and we'll go from there. All right, thanks for watching. I'll check you guys later.